Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 17 of Unpopular Opinion. I'm your host, Mika Gatt, joined alongside my weekly panelists of Ayush and Mr. Kyle Pucci, who are just now on floating virtual Zoom screens. And we have a returning guest this week, Mr. Ben Chittick, coming back from the MJ LeBron debate, where I don't know who won that side, but it was a good debate. It was a good show. We got first-time guest, Mr. Ben Teach, coming on to talk a little bit more basketball with us. Thank you, boys, for coming on today. All right, so let's start today by talking a little bit about the Carson Wentz to Indianapolis trade that went down a couple days ago. Who do you guys think won that trade and why? Let's start with Mr. Chittick. Chittick, who won the trade?
Whoever got Carson Wentz, Indianapolis, because Carson Wentz, he had a bad year last year, but coming up, he was that guy. Like, he was nice. He was MVP type guy. So I think that he can turn it around and he can be good.
Absolutely. Ayush, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree with Chittick. The Colts won that trade. He was an MVP candidate with Frank Reich in Philly, and they only gave up a second and a third. The second probably turned into a first, but it's not that much to get for a franchise quarterback.
Kyle?
Well, who won? It's not even a question. It's the Colts. And as Chittick said, as Wentz has been looking a little shaky the past 2 years, but if there were one person or one team to revive his career, it would be the Colts with Frank Reich, who was his coordinator when he was basically the MVP until he got injured. And I think the Colts are honestly in contention because Phillip Rivers is not that good. And I still think Wentz is better than him, especially if you give him weapons, which they have.
All right. Teach, what do you think?
Yeah, I think the Colts clear winner there, but it's more so like the Eagles lost because they really didn't get anything. I mean, a third round pick's good, and then that first, but it'll probably be a late first because they have to make the playoffs for it to be a first, I think. And so like they take on $30 million of dead cap money, which they can't do anything with, and now Hurts is going to be screwed for the future, I think. They're a horrible organization to begin with.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
They
Like
also
the Eagles
traded away a lot for just to get Carson Wentz and all that.
Yep.
Yeah,
I mean, I can't even blame Wentz for all that happened. I mean, you guys know how I feel about Doug Peterson, and so, like, it was just a disaster, mainly because of Peterson. I think Wentz was mentally broken because he had such a bad team around him and terrible coach.
Yeah, and not even that. You know, for the Eagles, this organization is just going to blow up. Ertz is leaving. I think he's a free agent this year. They just released Deshaun Jackson. Alshon Jeffrey's getting out of there. I mean, that entire team, it's pretty much just Miles Sanders and Jalen Hurts running around next year. That team is probably the worst team in the NFC East.
They're going to lose some players too, so.
I think they're the worst team in the NFC.
They have no cap space.
Yeah,
they have no cap space, and they lose even more because of the Wentz contract. They just
Hey, if you're an Eagles fan, you enjoy Super Bowl 52 for the next 20 years, all right?
Doug Peterson's not writing any more of those stupid fearless books after Belichick threw the Super Bowl. So,
all right. Well, yeah. Soon some franchise tags are going to be handed out, and some free agency is going to start. So we'll talk about that on future episodes. But today's an NBA day because a lot of NBA stuff has been happening recently, and we got some pretty controversial opinions about it. All right. So to start off today, last night the Boston Celtics dropped, again, another loss, and this time was a painful one to Luka Doncic and the Dallas Mavericks after Luka hit 2 3-pointers and one with 0.1 seconds remaining on the clock.
AKA they lost to another bad basketball team. You could just
and I mean, they shouldn't have won that game because they were down by 10, but the game before that against the Pelicans in New Orleans, they were up by a lot. They choked, went to overtime, and lost. Kyle, what do you think about the Celtics? What's looking forward to in the future? Without a big piece, are they done, or are they just done no matter what?
So did you just ask me if the season is done?
Not if it's done, but how far can the Celtics go?
Oh, they're not going anywhere. First of all, they just, I don't even know where you start with this team. I mean, I talked to Ayush yesterday, and I rank my 3 biggest choking factors. First, I blame Ainge. Then I blame the players. Then I blame Stevens. I put Stevens last because it's a players' league. And so the players are the ones that should be able to fix everything. Ainge, first of all, he already screwed up the beginning of the season when he messed up the Miles Turner trade, as we've talked about probably a trillion times. You know,
You don't raise your hand. This is first take type style. You just
I
interrupt.
actually have an objection to that Miles Turner trade. I think it fell through because the Pacers weren't going to give Gordon Hayward the contract he wanted.
well,
So
he
couldn't trade him against his will.
Just what reports say that Ainge asked for both Oladipo and Turner, which is just so stupid. You should have taken the big man.
Gordon Hayward got $30 million in Charlotte, and the Pacers were only going to give him a max of $25 million, I believe.
Yeah, but I mean, it's
24, 25. So he can't trade him against his will.
I mean,
but I agree. I think that should have been a move they could have pursued more.
Anyway, I'm going to finish my point. I despise watching this team right now. I mean, there's no ball movement. Every time these guys don't have their shots fall, they just give up. They all play defense. Now we have a new Marcus Smart problem. His name is Kemba Walker. When he misses a million threes and just keeps hucking them and just keeps missing again. Like, for people who say it's Steven's fault, like, how is it his fault that Kemba goes 1 for 12 from 3? It's just been awful. I mean, like, I had a couple of people ask me yesterday, who's anonymous people who asked me, is the Celt season over? Oh, yeah, it's over. It's absolutely over. They need to tank. Just end it. We're not going anywhere. They suck.
All right, Ayush, what do you think?
I agree with Kyle a lot. I don't think the season's over yet. I mean, we're not even halfway done with the season. I do blame Ainge a lot. I mean, he's made no moves to improve this roster. Stevens, I do blame a little bit because Tristan Thompson should not be playing over Robert Williams. Robert Williams is better at just about everything. And every time Tristan Thompson tries to go one-on-one with the center, it never ends well. Just to never learn to dribble with his head up. He usually has an open guy in the corner for 3. Tatum's become way softer than he has. He's afraid to go into the lane and finish with contact. I mean, this whole team's just messed up. We're 5-8 without Marcus Smart now. I mean, I don't think he should be that important to our team. He's our best defender for sure, but he's also our 4th best player, and he should not be that vital for our team.
Let's just say it's an indictment on the team that Smart is that important as your 4th best player. Any good team can't be able to win games without their 4th best player. They can't.
He might be our 3rd the way Kemba's playing. I mean, he couldn't throw a rock into the ocean at this point.
Well, neither can Smart, so
Smart's improved.
All right, well, let's ask Mr. Teach. Mr. Teach, first of all, can you show which jersey you're repping today? I saw that you're wearing a nice Celtics jersey today.
My boy, Luka, the man.
Looks like white.
Come on, man.
All right, so let's hear it, Teach. What do you think about the Celtics?
Yeah, I feel like they were doomed ever since the Nets traded for Harden, doomed for a championship run. They're still a playoff lock in my opinion if they stay healthy, even without Smart. But Smart's coming back, so that definitely helps. But I feel like the deadline coming up, they got to make a couple moves. One of which probably involves Kemba, moving him for a guy like Vucevic or John Collins or someone that's been made available. Even Porzingis, the Mavericks have been looking to trade him, and if the price is that low because they're giving up on him after 1 year, I'd give up Kemba and Tice for him, and even a late first round pick at that. But I mean, I don't think they're gonna get past the Nets in a 7-game series, and then if they, I just don't think they can make a title run out of the East right now, and that involves making a couple moves. But they could also use that exception. I don't know, pick up a role player off the bench, like I'm not sure, PJ Tucker, Harrison Barnes, one of those guys. But right now they're not. They got to play for the future.
Top 3 team in the East right now, let alone the Nets.
Exactly.
Half a game out of the playoffs at this point.
They got to play Rob Williams 30 a game, start him, play him 30 minutes a game, high 20s, low 30s. I mean, everything he gets on the floor and does good things.
That's the big thing. Put Pritchard
does
over
good
Kemba.
Things every time he's on the floor, opposed to Tice, who's just become a spot up shooter, or Thompson, who just puts his head down in the paint and tries to make a hook shot every time. But I think Rob Williams, it starts with starting him and then maybe moving Kemba for a guy who can stretch the floor, give the ball to the Jays a little bit more, and then give Pritchard the keys at point for the future. I like him.
Yeah.
I'm a big Pritchard fan.
Chiddick, Teach just mentioned Mr.
Gritty.
James Harden. Any chance you can show what jersey you're repping? He just said that once James Harden came over to the Nets, that East division just became closed. What do you think? What do you think of the Celtics?
I think that the Sixers are kind of overlooked with the way Joel Embiid has stepped through his game this year. Simmons has improved as a player. and they have shooters around Joel now. I think that they are a serious threat for the finals, and I think they could beat the Nets.
The Sixers.
I'm with
Yes.
Chidik on that.
I
To be
agree.
honest,
They made great moves this offseason. Danny Green, Seth Curry.
I think the Nets are going to win
They're
it.
legit. They're a scary team.
I think the Nets are the clear favorite, but I do like
Harden's playing. He's dishing out like 12 assists a game right now.
He's going
And this is without
So-
Kevin Durant.
Still,
Okay,
Yeah,
Kevin
I
Durant's
mean,
not playing right now.
Obviously, they're a super team, but I think the Sixers. I think that they are overlooked right now. I think they could potentially knock them off.
Yeah,
an angry Embiid is a very scary thing.
Yeah, you
He's
think about
soft.
super teams. What about 2015? The Warriors, they went 73 and 9 or 72 and 9, and they were down 3-1 to OKC. I mean, that wasn't really, it was KD and Russ. I mean, Joel and Ben Simmons aren't that far off, so you never know. You never know. They might.
Tobias, with the
they're
guy
far off.
I don't know about that.
Well,
because
okay, yeah. I mean,
off.
Kevin
Right
Durant's a
now,
little better
Joel.
than. No, but I'm just saying Joel Embiid's playing at an MVP caliber. So
Yeah,
if he keeps it
exactly.
up, then there's a chance. There's always a chance
I
if he
think he
keeps
will
this
keep
up.
it up because he's.
They also
improved
have
his game.
Tobias.
Simmons has
Yeah,
done
and
better.
Tobias too. No, they got the pieces.
Tobias
Yeah.
is a great third scorer. They have Curry, Danny Green. They're good.
Tyrese Maxey, he's a good player.
I just feel bad for Giannis. That team should be so competitive in the East right
They
now.
will
They're
be.
not- I
They
mean,
will
are
be.
they a top 2 team in the East?
Once they get healthy, they're going to be competitive.
Are they
No,
a top
they're
2
not
team in the
top
East?
two. No,
they're not
it's-
top.
Drew
it's
Holiday's
Brooklyn
been missing
Sixers and
games. How
everyone
many
else.
games has Drew Holiday missed?
Missed
He
like
was
the
on the
past
COVID list.
2
Yeah.
weeks.
He's missed a
Yeah,
lot.
he's been out for a while because of the COVID.
Yeah, but
But
Middleton
even
hasn't
with
been
him,
playing
though,
that great
I
recently.
don't know. I don't love him.
That team's dangerous. The Bucks. I think the Bucks, Sixers, and Nets are the top 3 in the East right now.
Easily.
Well,
Oh,
yeah.
I have
that's-
Sixers, Nets, everybody else.
Can I respond to Teach on a lot of his things he said about the Celts?
yeah. Well, Kyle, you don't need to ask. Just do it.
All right. Well, then stop talking and just let me talk. Teach, well, I agree with basically everything. I mean, start Robert Williams at this point because our big guys are so bad that you just might as well give him a chance. And like, it feels like he does something good every time he's there, no matter what people think of him. And it's like you said about the trade deadline, I mean, it's going to take more than one move to fix this team. I mean, it's not like we can just trade for Drummond and then, we're right back. It's like, no, it's going to take so much more. There's so many holes everywhere. Like, their whole bench is so bad. Like, I'm just going to, Ayush has been starting to playing on me all season about Jeff Teague because I actually thought he was going to be a pretty good upgrade for this team. And yeah, that hasn't gone too well. So just keep the playing coming because it's just been terrible. Tristan Thompson's also been a bust. I know he's been a little better lately, but I mean, I was too stubborn to realize he hasn't been that rim protector since he was in Cleveland. Like, not even last year, but in a couple of years ago. Like, he really just hasn't. He's honestly more on the decline than he really is.
We need
Celtics still have a bright future,
What?
but the
Yeah,
Celtics still have a very bright future, I think. It's just this year, if they don't make any moves at the deadline, they have no chance.
I don't think they have a bright future at all, to be honest with you.
Can't
They have-
compete with
I
that.
don't know about that, Kyle.
And
Because
Tatum-
I just at one point, are we just gonna say that they're just not good enough? What they have, like this whole being patient thing, it's just.
I mean, they have 2 young stars who are still
okay,
improving.
that's
Exactly.
the hopeful scenario that they're just too young to do it.
And
Or,
Pritchard. Pritchard's only going up from here.
Pritchard's
Sure.
not that
You
good.
know
their
Pritchard's
chance
not that
last
good.
year was to make the finals. They're never gonna get that good of a chance again, and they blew it to Miami. They were a better team than the Heat.
Well,
I know that they.
I think they'll get
I mean-
that chance again, provided that one of the Jays doesn't push his way out after 2 bad seasons. If they don't make any moves to get a guy who's young, who can stretch the floor, who can play alongside them, who can let them play their game, because that's just not Kemba. Like Kemba.
Okay,
is
but
just
we
not that
mentioned
guy.
how like the Celtics have a bright future. Well, like so do a lot of the other teams. I mean, like Brooklyn's gonna be around for a while. So is Philly. Like Giannis
might not
will
be
be
there for
here
long.
for a long time.
Brooklyn
Like
might be there for like 2 or 3 more years though.
Celtics aren't that
big,
far off,
big
though.
path is to blow this
They
team.
aren't. The Celtics aren't that far off.
They're too soft. They're
I'm-
I'm
so
not sure how
bad.
many
I don't think they'll
many
get
young
Vucevic.
duos would you rather have than
What?
Jason and Jalen? How many
I
young?
don't think they're
How
going
many
to get
duos?
Vucevic. I
Period.
don't think they're going to get Porzingis.
No, I don't think.
I don't
they're-
really know who they could get this year that's going to really push them into contention. Is
I
the
mean,
thing.
maybe Drummond or Blake Griffin. Those are like
those
Drummond
guys
listed.
raise
He's kind
their
of a wild
floor.
card. I
They need a
think
guy
he-
that's gonna raise their ceiling.
I just think this team is too soft. The team follows their best player. When you have Tatum just not ever finishing. He plays like such a wussy. I'm sorry, but he does. He can't finish through contact. Every time there's like a bigger, he just takes the. If I see him take one more sidestep three from the corner, I'm gonna punch a hole through the wall because
Again, Kyle.
it's so frustrating watching him play. He can't. Also, like, how many times do you see him try to dribble through a double team and he just turns the ball over? He does it every time. He dribbles through a double team, he turns it over. Like,
Tatum and Brown cannot be
player, but
double handlers.
they can't be your two best players in the championship.
he's a great player. Tatum is.
Whoa, I think
I'm
they
just not
can
sure
be.
how
No, they
good
can't.
Jaylen
Yeah,
Brown
they can
is
be, but
because they
there's-
play the same way. They don't complement each
They
other.
both don't have leadership intangibles, and they're both just not good enough.
They're both not playmakers, which is the problem.
They're
They only
both
like-
very good, but they don't complement each other well.
And also,
I think they complement each other
Kemba's
well
not
because
good.
Tatum plays on the ball more than Jalen, and he can he can make plays.
Jalen's been
Jalen's a
playing lot
great
more
spot up
right now.
shooter
okay, but
and great in transition.
we also not ignore too. People think that there's a big three on the Celtics team with Kemba and the two Jays. It's like all three of your big three people should not need the ball constantly to score. Like,
I don't know why Kemba's taking 20 shots a game. He's
Like,
making like 3.
you look at the big like seriously, look at Steph, Clay, KD.
Kemba's probably
Bogdan,
still getting the
LeBron.
game.
All those guys don't need the ball in their hands constantly to score. Like, Kemba literally takes like 15 seconds off the shot clock every time. He just breaks a free. Like, all three of these guys need the ball constantly.
Kemba's
to
still playing back, but if he puts it together, they could still do some damage in the playoffs. I think.
We need to trade Kemba.
Yeah, but unless they get get a big man, Chiddick, there is no way they do anything in the playoffs.
This team is too
They
They
soft.
could.
You're not
They
going
won't beat Brooklyn or Sixers.
I don't even think they can beat the Pacers.
if the Pacers
No,
get
they
hurt
can
back,
beat
they're
the
gonna be
Pacers.
dangerous.
They have
Okay,
experience.
the
They have
Pacers are
playoff
not
If they
experience.
get think about it. That team's injured. They get TJ Warren back. They get LeVert back. That team.
Warren
that
and
team-
LeVert.
I'm not
I
sure
doubt
LeVert's
those guys
gonna-
come
LeVert-
back.
Oh yeah, LeVert. I don't know,
LeVert's
but
supposed to
Warren
come
should
back.
come back.
Warren maybe by the
So
very
what?
end of the year,
Warren's
but
coming
he's
back.
still coming off injury. Who knows what
Yeah,
he's going to
just
be?
think about that
It's not like
team
the
fully
Pacers
healthy.
to be the difference in this series. Okay,
No, I'm just saying, like, if the Celtics keep playing like they are now, they're losing to teams like the Mavs and the Pelicans. The Pacers are better than them.
let's just say they're closer. They're literally closer to a lottery right now than they are to
Absolutely.
finals. Like,
Absolutely.
this team
The
is
only
not.
good thing for the Celtics is that there's no team in the East that's playing really well. Like they're only 4 games behind the 1 seed.
And
Like,
Danny's paying the price for not
I mean, so,
trading.
that's won 7 straight. So I don't know if there's no team playing
Oh, I
really
mean,
well. But
like there's no team that's
They're
like
killing.
way
record wise, yeah. Record-wise, yeah.
Record-wise.
Also, what Teach said about Daniel Tice, this is so true. Like, I am so sick of watching that guy complain for calls. It's like, dude, you're not good. Like, just stop complaining for calls. Like, you are a terrible basketball. Well, actually, no, he's not terrible, but he shouldn't be complaining for calls. He throws his hands up every time.
He's a
It's
good
like,
backup.
dude, just
He's good.
stop complaining for calls. Like, you're
He's a
not
good
going
backup.
to get them.
I wouldn't mind him as a backup, but like
Yeah.
a
Yeah, me
starter
neither.
along with Tristan Thompson, that's just not gonna work.
It's just stop crying for
Yeah,
fouls.
I
You're
don't know
not
why we
that
still
good.
start. We still start 2 centers.
Oh, yeah,
Only
true.
one of them can kind of shoot.
We might
Kind
be
of.
the only team in the league that's like.
I also underestimated Gordon Hayward's value last year because now that I look at it, he was the best playmaker on this team by far, and they don't have
Yeah.
any of that
Yeah.
anymore. He was by far the best playmaker on this
Mm.
team. Mika, don't even give me that look. It's a fact. Kemba
Gordon
can't
Hayward's
get
not
guys
really
involved.
playing
Maybe
good.
Marcus Smart.
I
Maybe
said Marcus Smart and
Oh my
Gordon
God.
Hayward. are the only two
Smart
people.
is not your best playmaker.
Yes, he
Hayward
is.
gets
He plays
people involved.
defense. Gordon Hayward didn't play really he didn't play any defense.
Gordon Hayward was good on our
Hey,
team.
Mika,
He was
apparently a
excellent.
playmaker doesn't play. Maybe apparently defense isn't involved with playmaking. Okay, it's
No,
called
it
passing.
is. It
Getting
is.
No, it is.
guys
I'm just saying
involved.
Marcus Smart was the best defense. He's like a top 5 defensive
Marcus
player.
can
in the
turn
league.
the tide of the
That's
game.
not the matter in this case. We're talking about getting guys involved. All
Marcus
4 of those
Smart's still
guys
better
can't
than-
get their guys involved.
Smart's still better than the Gordon Hayward at that.
Well, I
You are
think Tatum. I think Tatum in the next couple of years, he can make plays. Like just last night, you see that pass he made to Kemba for the 3
yeah.
at the end of the game. He drove baseline midair and passed it up to Kemba. That's a great pass, but I think he can get up to 6, 7 assists a game at power forward, small forward in the future. But I just don't. I think we need a primary ball handler.
And again,
Lonzo.
if people think Smart
Did
is
you
our
say
best
Lonzo?
playmaker,
Lonzo,
Lonzo was
Lonzo.
great.
You
you know
Lonzo
what?
was
I
a
think
player.
Great
Lonzo.
dude.
That's why I take Lonzo over Kemba.
Okay,
First,
over,
he
yeah, over Kemba,
Compliment.
sure. but,
40% 3-point shooter and can pass the ball.
can also
Smart
play
was great.
defense too. Don't forget that. And
Yeah.
and it's just. But seriously, if people think Smart is our best playmaker, then we're not a good basketball team. If Smart is our best playmaker, he
Not
should
that
not
bad.
be your best playmaker.
He gets like elite
Sure, but
assists.
there's a number of guys that are good playmakers. Tatum, Kemba, Smart, Pritchard, they're all good playmakers.
I mean, I
If
can't
we don't
tell.
have a certified number one. I mean,
That's true. Yeah, the team is balanced in terms
it's
of
balanced.
like, yeah, it's balanced.
It's not.
Kemba is
It
not a
can't compete for
playmaker. Can we
championship right
stop
now.
saying that?
But he also has
Nice,
no depth whatsoever. I mean, Semi Ojeleye should not be playing as much as he is.
These
Javon
guys shouldn't be
Green.
NBA players. Semi Ojeleye and Grant Williams, it should not be on an NBA roster.
Reason
Friends
Semi's
of
on our
all
team.
of
Semi's
them.
just really strong. He's just he
Semi's
has
only
muscles
here
on
because
top of
Semi
muscles.
weight room wise,
Semi's
incredible. But Grant Williams does
'Cause-
not. Grant Williams belongs on a G League team.
We also have like 12 guys that Stevens tries to play with like 2 first-round picks every year. You can't really run a 14-man rotation.
Yeah,
so
I mean, Hoarder
what's the
Danny and
purpose
his first round picks at the end of the round, never
Wait,
trading them for anybody.
What's the purpose of hoarding these late first and second round picks and guys like Romeo, Grant Williams, if you're not going to make a move to get better? I don't
No,
know.
I
if you
mean, they
remember
got
what-
lucky and they got Pritchard in the
You know, if
second.
you remember
second
what
round.
Cleveland gave up for Drummond, they literally gave up like John Henson, the second round pick for him. Like,
Also
you're
gave
telling me
up
you
Monte
can't trade
Edmonds for
Ojeleye in a
third.
first round pick?
Drummond's not the answer. He's not the answer.
Well,
Yeah,
like,
there's no
Pritchard's
way.
not that good. Pritchard had
He'll,
two
he'll
good
take you
games,
from
everybody
40
wanted.
wins to 44 wins, but he's not taking you from like a second round exit to a conference finals exit.
I mean, he at least gives you a rebounder, which is what we don't
Sure.
have.
That's what we needed, Kyle. But this is a different Celtics team that it was last year. That's true. It's a very different Celtics team than we were watching last year. Last year, you put Andre Drummond on that team, and that team's gonna win it all easily.
But who, like Robert Williams, he's a good rebounder. What's stopping him from going like 8 points, 12 rebounds in
Doesn't
24
play.
minutes if he
Mika, the
starts?
thing is about last year, that's
He's
what
still
Kemba
young.
was actually
I
good.
don't know
And
if
they
he's
had
polished enough
Hayward
yet.
last year.
and
He
Cardiac
doesn't-
Kemba
he
was
doesn't
in
need to
full
be
display.
polished enough. He doesn't try to do anything he can't do. He catches lobs, blocks a ton of shots, and rebounds like crazy.
I don't know.
Well, that's the thing. At least Robert Williams like knows what he is. Like compared
Exactly. He never takes jump shots that he can't hit.
to Thompson's trying to look like Embiid with his post moves, dude. And
I saw
like,
Thompson catch the ball at the top of the key yesterday and go behind his back twice, spin, and then kick it out. He almost fell down.
it's like,
broke
what
his
are
own
you
ankle.
doing?
He almost broke his own ankles.
Like he thinks he's Derrick Henry and they're trying to run over people going.
Yeah, I'm not sure about Thompson, but jeez.
Yeah, he's been such a. And seriously, Jeff Teague, just for all you people who are gonna watch, just keep the crap coming at me about Jeff Teague because I was so wrong about him. He's so bad.
I
He
thought
doesn't
he
even
was
do
good.
anything. He can't make
vet.
shots. He doesn't play defense. He doesn't
Veteran.
pass the ball right. Like,
Yeah.
No one's playing defense on our team anymore. Everyone's getting beat with one dribble.
well, that's the thing too. Like the Celtics have lost their traits of a team that actually used to play like at least when they were like not that good, you were getting maximum effort defensively every night from them.
Well, I
just
mean, they
don't
can't
do
really
that
have it. They don't have anyone that can guard Luca, for example.
We had
They don't have
Marcus.
any-
Marcus,
Anybody
yeah,
can
you're telling me
guard
Marcus
Without
Smart
Smart-
couldn't have guarded him. You're telling me
No one
Marcus.
can guard
that-
Luka, period.
they- What?
No one can guard Luka, period.
Facts. Well, I was just using that as an example. They need a guy without Smart. They don't have a guy that can just lock up. Tatum's a good defender. Brown's a good defender, but
Yeah, but even Smart hasn't been the same defensive player this year.
He's
even
helped
when he
our
was
team
here.
defensively.
Smart's
we're
been
way
a good-
better.
good
Like, even
defender.
just as a team, our defense goes way up just
it,
with
it
Smart on the
doesn't
court.
show up in the stat sheet, but Smart locks up. You know, even if he's not getting 4 steals, it's like he's on the toughest assignment on the court, regardless of who it is. It can be like Giannis. He'll be guarding Giannis. He'll go from Curry to Giannis.
Yeah, he's a good player.
And Giannis will still drop 40
He's
on us
kind of the
every
well,
game. I mean,
yeah, but Giannis does that regardless, really.
Yeah.
It's,
All right, well, let's move on to the other side of the conference. Let's move on to the Western side of the NBA because there's a specific team in that we want to talk about, the Los Angeles Lakers, who were tied in second with the Clippers, but the Clippers won yesterday, so the Lakers dropped down to number 3, to the number 3rd spot right now. And recently, the Lakers just lost in overtime to the Wizards, and they've dropped a couple games here and there. And Anthony Davis is obviously injured; he's been ruled out for next couple of weeks. So it's now LeBron carrying these Lakers. And my question for you guys is, can LeBron actually do something? Is LeBron gonna be the reason that the
Obviously.
Lakers that they go and maybe even push towards the 1 seed? Like they play the Jazz tonight. Do they really have a chance to beat the Jazz with LeBron?
oh, they're taking a
Yeah.
lot.
Wait,
Of
let's
course.
start. Hey,
LeBron, you
let's
have
They're
let's start with
losing.
Why do they
Ayush.
need him?
Ayush, go first.
I
Well,
think
everyone's gonna get a
Talk about
chance.
it right now with you, Chittick, if they lose tonight.
First of all, they're 0-3 without Anthony Davis, right? I mean, they've scored below 100 points twice in a row for the first time this season without Anthony Davis. I think defensively, they obviously got worse because Davis is a DPOY candidate every year. I mean, LeBron shot like below 20% from threes these last 3 games. He's also averaging 5 turnovers a game. I mean, he's a good player. He's the best player in the league right now, but I don't think he'll be able to carry them to the 1 seed without Anthony Davis. They're a good team. They're just not a contender without Anthony Davis.
Well, do you think LeBron's an MVP candidate?
Oh no, he lost that.
All right, let's start with Mr. Chittick. He looks quite opinionated
Not
on
an
this.
MVP
Slow
candidate.
Well,
down.
obviously LeBron's still an MVP candidate. I
Slow
agree that
down.
he's not going to carry him to the 1 seed because that's not his goal. He's focused on a finals. He's focused on a championship. He doesn't care about the seeding. He just wants to get this team in and then just go from there. His 3-point shooting struggling recently, but anytime you have LeBron, you have a chance. Like, look at what he did with the Cavs a couple years ago. They were the worst team in the league without LeBron. With LeBron, they're a finals team. It's that simple. You have LeBron in your team, you're automatically a contender.
Well, one of my favorite things is to look at Kyle's face when he
You're the
hears something
favorite.
that he
If you have
doesn't
LeBron,
like.
you're the favorite, unless you're playing.
All right, Teach,
Bucks
go
on
ahead.
that with KD. I
What
would
do you
like to add that Dennis Schroeder has missed how many games now in a row because of the quarantine?
So it's Dennis
And
Schroeder's the reason
do
that
you
they're not
really
doing
Really
it?
think-
Dennis
do you really
Schroeder.
think-
He's a
Come
solid
on.
player.
He's a solid player, but he's not the
He's one of
difference.
the-
He's a
behind LeBron and
15 point
AD,
per
he's
game
like the
scorer as the
third
third
playmaker.
option on the best team in the league or second
Yeah.
best team in the league. And
He's really good.
without him, so with him, do you think they really go under 100 against the Heat and lose by 2 and lose to the Wizards?
Look at
No.
the team right now.
way.
Kuz right
Yeah,
now.
but
is the
those were
second
bad
scoring
teams.
option.
They're about to play
Who's
3
not
really
Those are
good
not
teams.
bad teams.
Dude,
Those are
No,
teams
but the
that are
teams they're
picked up
about to
teams.
play are much
That's a
better.
Wizards team that's won 4 in a row and
Yep.
kind of finding their own with Westbrook back, Beal, playing well, obviously,
Okay,
and the
well,
Heat, who have just recovered from missing how many games from Butler, Bam, everyone. Those aren't bad teams at all. And
Well,
then
the
they
Heat are
beat
also
a bad
scoring
team. They
garages.
beat
Guys,
the
the
Wolves, who are a
Heat
bad
are
team.
no, all right. They're not that good of a team. All right.
Who?
The
Who?
Heat, they're not that good.
The Heat are
They're not a
good
bad team,
team.
Yeah,
though.
right.
They're not a
They're a
Pistons.
good team.
They're not a Pistons or a Cavaliers. Like they're a good team that's just a year removed from a finals appearance. Like they're finally finding their footing and they're gonna make their playoff team, right?
Yeah.
The Wizards and Heat, I think, are 2 playoff teams or play-in teams at the very worst. But like with Schroeder, they're not held under 100. They're not losing those games. It's just when LeBron has to carry a bunch of bozos at sometimes. Like when he's on the floor with like Wes Matthews, Mark Gasol, and Kyle Kuzma. I mean, come on.
Yeah, if LeBron doesn't
Let him
crap his
success.
pants against the Wizards down the stretch, they also don't lose that game. I mean, not to
Crap
mention,
his pants,
I
hitting
mean,
the
he
game-tying
was
shots.
awful in the crunch time of that game. He was terrible.
He missed a free throw to put them up 1, with 10 seconds left.
He was awful in that Wizards game in the fourth. In the last 5 minutes through overtime, he was terrible. You can't even deny it. He was awful.
He wasn't terrible. His
Yeah,
shot
Come
has been
on,
struggling
Shittick.
recently.
He gives up a wide open 3 and then throws up his hands like it's not his man. Like
That was one
it was
play.
his man.
LeBron's just not a good defender anymore. He's not guarding good offensive players.
Wait till the playoffs.
But I'm saying that what I was gonna say is that the Lakers are playing the Jazz tonight, which that team they have the best record in basketball with Donovan Mitchell and Gobert. They play Dame in a couple days and then Curry after that. Those teams are better than the teams they just played.
I wouldn't
So-
say the Warriors are better than the Lakers.
No,
The
I'm
Jazz-
talking about.
The
No,
Jazz
I'm
are
just
not
talking
real
about the teams that they
competitive.
beat recently, Ayush. They're better than the Wizards, and they're definitely better than the Heat.
I have a question. Who do you think can beat the Lakers out of the West?
Clippers.
Clippers.
Okay.
Maybe the Jazz the way they're playing.
They're the only team that has a chance.
I
Clippers.
think they're the only team that has a
I don't
chance.
think it's the
Who's
Jazz because I
beating the
just
full
haven't
strength
seen them
Lakers?
do it in the playoffs
Jazz
ever.
are a regular season team. In the
They've
playoffs,
they've
they
always
do
been
it very
great in
good.
the regular season.
Jordan Clarkson is healthy. They didn't have Bogdanovich last
I
year
don't
in
think the
playoffs.
Jazz are gonna make a big splash against the
Dude, the
Lakers.
Jazz are always fool's gold. They do this every year in the regular season. They never do anything in the playoffs.
Well,
This
they're
ain't
just
John
kinda
Stockton, Karl
inexperienced.
Malone. This team ain't gonna
They
go.
don't they don't do what they're doing right now every year. They're won 20 of 21 now, right?
All
I
right,
just
well,
think they're
team is
I
playing
just
really
don't have
well.
that it.
No,
Donovan
they've lost
Mitchell,
5 games.
great player, but he's not the guy when it comes to playoff time that you can turn to. I know he went off in the bubble and everything, but he's not LeBron, KD, Kyrie, Harden, Embiid, one of those guys. It's Giannis that can do it every night.
So are you guys all going to tell me that the way that the Lakers have been playing recently, LeBron should still be favorite for MVP?
It's
No.
3 games. They've lost 3 games. Before that, LeBron was the
Was
favorite.
he ever
So
favored?
I don't
No,
think
yeah,
any game
he's
can
a
swing your
Criminal, but he was
that
the
much.
favorite for MVP.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Can I
In
get to
my
my
eyes, he
point
was
now?
ever favored.
Yeah,
I
Kyle,
know,
go
I
ahead.
know the
Look at the
People are done.
rankings.
But
What
I
do
would have
rings
him
have to
beat at
do
the
with
top.
this year?
What do you
Alright.
I
mean?
would have him beat at the top of that
Jokic
list.
should be the MVP.
The
for the
MVP
game.
rankings.
Oh, dude, I think it should be Jokic right now. I mean, honestly, the way he's
No,
playing.
it's
No,
right now.
the Nuggets
either
aren't doing
LeBron
good,
or
Ayush,
Embiid,
though.
no
Look
one
at the
else.
record, too.
There's like 16
You
and
gotta-
12. That should be
I
good
mean,
enough.
Sixers are first in the East. That's the
I
difference.
think
Like
I think there's
19
only
and
been
10.
like 3 MVPs that haven't been a top 3 seed.
Yeah, exactly. That's why when the All-Star
got it.
reserves came out and Jalen Brown and Jason Tatum were both selected, I was listening to the guys on TNT say that that's a 6 seed. They weren't expecting 2 guys off. I mean, they're both really good players, but I mean, they're 6 seed.
I mean,
So, Kyle, go
Embiid
ahead. What do you
and
think about the
McGregor
Lakers?
last is the 6th seed, so I mean, I'm just kind of safe
Yeah.
for this.
All right, Kyle, what do you think about LeBron and the Lakers?
Okay, first of all, my case from the past 2 years is just being proved again. How this Lakers team is not good without Anthony Davis. They can't do literally anything without this guy. Like they have no structure on offense. They can't play. They have no rim protection on defense without him. Like they're just you guys just both of you the 2 Bs in this Zoom.
LeBron is the structure. LeBron's the structure.
You guys
He's
were
the entire
Yeah,
offense.
they
shit.
cleaned
With
house
AD
to get
with
him.
Can't
AD or
win
not.
without Davis. They can't.
They
Like
cleaned house to get him. They gave up 2 starters and their 6th man to get this guy. Obviously, they're not going to be good without. They're not going to be as good
yeah,
as they
and
could
it's
be without him.
Davis is a great
it's
player, so
another.
it's gonna help
You know
him.
what?
And
It's
when you lose
and
a
that's
guy like that, it's
joke
gonna
that
take some
LeBron
working
was
through.
considered the MVP because he's on a team with another. All right, nobody. First of all, Embiid should be the runaway MVP right now, and it's just being proved that LeBron is not he shouldn't be MVP when he can't win without his co-star because that's what's happening right now. Come on, dude. You can't lose to teams like the Wizards and the Pistons. Win streak or not, it doesn't matter. All right. They shouldn't.
Wizards aren't that bad.
Wizards
No
are not as
business.
bad as their record is at all.
Dude, no,
Oh,
your record says what you
They're
are.
a playoff team. They'll get in. They'll get
They're
in.
not a
They're
playoff.
going to make the playoffs.
They're in.
They're
They're
getting through
playoff.
They're
get into the
conference.
consolation bracket. You know how
Beal
they're
and
doing
Westbrook. That's one of the
play-in
best backcourts in the league.
It's
Yeah, but like other than that, I mean, it's what Rui
I
Hachimura.
I mean,
Chris
LeBron has
Paul
a
and like Devin
pretty
Booker.
sorry team.
There's not that many good ones, Chitty.
If you're saying that, if you're trying to discredit LeBron by saying that he loses his co-star and they drop games to the Nets, Heat, and Wizards, all of whom are respective teams,
I'm not.
how
giving-
bad would this
not
team
giving
be
them
without
crap
him?
Dropping against the
How
Nets.
bad?
I think that
How bad would this team be with AD instead of him?
They'd be the
this team
same.
would be
They'd be the
horrible.
exact same thing.
This team. This is
Because
a.
I've
This
seen
is,
it
this is, this is the New
Yeah,
Orleans
I've also
Pelicans that
LeBron missed
AD
the
was
playoffs.
on.
Anthony
LeBron's
Davis.
the whole
So
team.
This is the Pelicans that AD was on, but worse. Without LeBron.
I've also seen LeBron miss the playoffs without Anthony Davis. I mean, he did.
Yeah, when he was hurt for most
He
of
was
the year.
hurt.
I don't care.
what,
They were
20
one
games
game out of the playoffs. They were
Yeah,
one
but
game
he was
out
hurt,
with
though.
25 games remaining. You're
Gucci,
telling me
they were
LeBron-
they were
No, let me finish my point.
20
I
games
used
and they
to-
missed the
you-
playoffs.
How is it not seriously? This is the guy you guys think is the greatest player of all time. You're telling me one game out of the playoffs, he shouldn't be able to get them in?
They
Come
were
on.
a top 3 seed with who was their second best
Oh
player?
wow, they were 20 and 14. That's a real top 3
Tyler,
seed.
Brandon
That's really
Ingram.
great.
That was either Ingram or Kuzma. I think that Ingram was still there.
And
Come on, they were
Top
one
3 seed
game
with
out of the
Kyle
playoffs.
Kuzma.
Running a 50-pound diaper in his pants for the last 20 games of that
Top
season.
3
They
seed
missed
with
it.
Kyle Kuzma as your guy.
I don't care.
you're
LeBron,
Robin.
his words. He said, "Oh, I'm gonna activate playoff mode. I'm gonna activate playoff mode," and all they did was just
All
go
with the Lakers
down from
right
there.
now is besides for LeBron, when Anthony Davis is out, no one else can create their own shot. No one else
Especially without
is
Schroeder.
going offense.
The fact that
Especially
LeBron,
with Schroeder out.
it's criminal that LeBron is an MVP candidate right now. It's ridiculous.
No, it's not because
Yeah, it is.
because this Lakers team without him, if you have a full strength Lakers team without him, they win what, 30 games? 25
Okay,
games?
again, they
And-
missed the playoffs without Anthony Davis. Like, what has he proved without him? He's
Playoffs without
proved nothing.
LeBron.
Kyle, he was hurt most of that year. You have
It
to
doesn't
discard
matter. You still had one game out of the playoffs with 25 games remaining. You can't tell me that they shouldn't have been in the playoffs with one game out of the playoffs with 20 games remaining. It's a joke. The
Hey,
fact that you're just giving him a pass for that is unbelievable.
I understand your argument and I see where you're coming from, but if he doesn't miss 20 games in the middle of the season, it's not like he missed the start of the season or the end of the season. It's right in the meat of the season.
Okay,
They
but he
make the
still had
playoffs.
a chance,
They
right? Did he still
make
have a
it with
chance?
ease.
Cheech.
All right, so that was a while ago anyway. I don't know why we're talking about that.
Yeah, but
Well,
another
because it
He
was
also
the
wasn't in
best
MVP
without AD.
He also wasn't in the MVP contention that year. So I don't know why that's really
All right,
being
well, I
brought
wanted
up
to ask a
discredit him
question
this
more
year.
for Kyle. Like Kyle's saying that LeBron cannot win without a superstar. Is that
He
throughout his
can't.
whole career?
He
Throughout
can't.
his whole career, even in his prime, which could be now. I'm just saying when he was on the Heat, when he was
Superstars
on the
league,
Cavs.
man.
Right, he's at the point of his career where his numbers don't have the same impact on games. I'm not telling you it's never been like that.
You
Because
watched the
clearly
playoffs last year?
he had Anthony Davis. I watched him last year. He took the game-winning shots and made them. Not
Who won
LeBron. He
MVP?
did.
Who won Finals MVP?
Yeah, and you know what? It was a reputation call because Davis was the best player on that team last
Won
year.
by a
You know
landslide.
it, and I know
Wasn't close. Wasn't close.
it. I
It
mean,
shouldn't have been close.
look at what the numbers say, Teach. I mean,
I'm looking right now. He misses
he led
27 games
scoring,
2 years ago.
rebounds, blocks, defensive efficiency, literally everything. Like,
No, LeBron should have won that Finals MVP.
Pooch,
no,
come
he
on.
shouldn't have.
Pooch.
All right. Give me a
KD
break.
wasn't going to get it, Kyle. I mean,
It's not like
he had
LeBron
the
guarded
game
any-
winning in
It's not
game
like
two,
LeBron
but
could guard anybody at this point in his career either. Like,
Oh my god.
it's terrible.
LeBron's,
It's criminal.
LeBron's not worried about winning individual regular season games. He's worried about winning a final. So if he drops a couple games here and there, he doesn't care. He's not worried in the least bit.
Well, they're gonna lose in the playoffs this year. That's for sure. Whether it's the Clippers, they're gonna get smoked by the Nets in the finals if they
No,
get
they
there.
won the
This man
finals
had- this
last
man
year.
had
They added
4
Montrezl,
triple-doubles.
Schroeder, and others.
Dude,
They're
Ben, you know
clear
triple doubles
favorites.
are not that cool these days anymore. I've seen Westbrook average a triple double a whole season. Why do I care anymore about triple doubles?
What?
so
Why
Kyle,
why do triple doubles matter?
Bro, if they were that
They
easy,
matter.
everyone would be doing it, right? They're that
It's
easy.
not every player's goal to get triple doubles.
Kyle, I wanted to say
I don't think anyone other than Westbrook really goes out there like, yeah, I'm gonna get a triple double today. They
I
just
don't
Or
play the
anybody
game.
does.
Dude,
And when you're
Westbrook
that,
puts his
When
game.
when you're
Clearly,
that
Luka does.
impactful,
That's why his team doesn't win any games. But
Westbrook does not stat pad as much as people say. I mean, he's the most athletic point guard in the
he
league.
used
That's why he
to.
gets so
The
many-
year he won MVP, I think he did.
He
But-
never stat padded.
He was
I
the
mean,
only player on that
I
team.
never understood that.
Yeah,
the
I-
rebounds.
That
that-
second
You know,
best player
it's
was
just the
Victor Oladipo
rebounds.
or something. That team was not good. Victor
Yeah, but
Oladipo
He
was
didn't
not
stat
good.
pad it. You can't really stat
you had
pad
a
points and
question?
assists.
Yeah, I
but
had a question.
he'd
You were
go out
saying
of his
that
way to get those rebounds to show up on the stat sheet. And I don't know if that's stat padding per se, but I mean, he definitely
He's
did
going
that.
hard after a
But-
rebound. I mean,
Yeah, I mean,
There's nobody in the league that nobody
goes.
goes out there with the sole purpose of getting a triple double, especially not in the NBA Finals. So I
Well,
don't know.
yeah, that's what I'm about to say about the NBA Finals.
doesn't
Kyle,
make
you
any
said that
sense.
if the Lakers play the Nets are going to smoke them. So you're telling me that Kevin Durant is better than LeBron James?
I'm not
No.
saying that, but KD has kicked his ass 2 times in the finals when he's with the Warriors.
And you think he'd do it again?
that was
Yeah,
but that was the whole
his
Warriors
squad-
team.
Dude, it was J.R. Smith, LeBron, and Tristan Thompson
so
versus.
did he not have Kyrie the year before? Did he not? I mean, did he not have Kevin Love and Kyrie the first time he played KD in the finals?
The second time, when KD really popped,
I mean,
they swept
okay,
them.
Why
When
did
they
it?
swept them.
I mean, it makes no difference. I mean, they lost in 5 games a year
That
before.
Warriors team was a cheat code.
Dude, that team had 3 All-Stars before KD.
Oh my
3
God.
All-NBA
It's
players
just
before
the
KD.
amount of excuses for LeBron James every year. It's just like no other superstar gets this pass. I mean,
What about with the referees, Kyle? You think he gets unnecessary calls?
oh, of course he does. Are you
I
kidding
feel like
me?
every
What's the
superstar
Lakers
does.
team? It's
Everyone does, dude.
These refs are ridiculous at this point. Every superstar that
getting
you just
off.
yell inside the paint.
every
and also
every
win.
ref in every NBA, not just every ref in every NBA game is ridiculous because it's all superstar calls. It's not actually.
Yeah.
I mean,
Don't you love it when like LeBron just like does anything blatantly that he just like touches anybody? He stares directly at the refs, yells, puts his hands up, and the refs just call it
this
immediately.
guy's a wuss bag. He's freaking flopping on Dylan Brooks. It's a freaking. I mean,
Oh,
like,
yeah,
guy as
against
big as
the
LeBron is
Memphis Grizzlies,
flopping
yeah.
to guys like
All these
Dylan Brooks.
superstars, like they don't call fouls on the superstars, but as soon as someone the superstars does it to someone else, it's a foul on them.
Again, he's spending
do it
$1.5 million
based on
on his body to freaking
Like
flop.
Joel
to guys
Embiid,
like
Giannis,
Dylan Brooks.
Harden, all these guys get superstar calls. Like they shouldn't be.
But
fouls.
one of the superstars played every game just like LeBron.
Just
There's
saying,
not too
wait
many.
till the playoffs. Wait till the playoffs.
Oh, yeah, you heard it. You guys probably heard about the fact that he only averages around 30 minutes per game. I mean, recently he's been playing around 30 minutes. Do you think that Frank Vogel should tell him how much he should be playing, or do you think LeBron's old enough and should be able to say, "I want to play like when it's clutch time. I want to be in."
Absolutely not. LeBron runs the show. He should be able to say when he wants to rest, when he should rest. He knows his body better than anybody.
Frank
Anthony
Vogel
Davis
just
is not 100% healthy. in the playoffs, they have zero chance of getting out of the West. Zero chance.
I wouldn't
He's
say
got
that.
Without
team-
Anthony Davis.
You guys, yeah, if Anthony Davis, I'm even if he's there, if he's not fully AD, they have no shot at winning at all.
Yeah, but that's in no way can that be used as a knock on LeBron? When you clean house and you give
It
up
is
so
knock
much
on
for a
LeBron
guy, and
because
he's
they're
just
also
not
talking about
present.
how LeBron should be the MVP. If you can't win without your co-star, you shouldn't be MVP.
I never said he should be MVP. I said that should be Joel Embiid. I never understood. He was never the front runner, in my opinion. But you can't use a guy they cleared their team, they cleared their roster to get not being present as a knock on LeBron.
Well, Kyle, would you say that this offseason the Lakers got better than they were last year with Dennis Schroeder and Montrezl Harrell?
No,
Than
they
the
got
team that
worse. They got
worse. Okay, I
How'd
was
they
just
get
gonna-
worse?
Because first of all, because Dwight Howard was very underrated off their bench last
So
year.
with Rondo.
He brought a lot of toughness and rim protection to them. Plus, Rondo's a different player in the playoffs. You can't tell me he also wasn't a factor last year. He shot like 50% from three or whatever. I mean,
Mhm.
I'm sorry. I know Dennis Schroeder's like he was a 6 man of the year last year, right?
No,
No,
Harrell,
No.
the other one that's on the team.
Well,
Well,
he should
still,
have been.
just-
He should have
they're
been.
not established players. Yeah, they're good players, but they've never done anything when it matters. Schroeder hasn't had the chance. He was
Schroeder
good
was balling for the Thunder last year in the playoffs.
Like, did
That-
you see Harrell in the playoffs last year? He was god awful. He was terrible. Like,
I mean, we want to talk about the Clippers in the playoffs, Kyle. How is Pandemic P doing?
Yeah, Paul George-
I mean, I wouldn't.
this isn't,
Paul
this
George
isn't
has not been
about
the same
this
since
isn't
he left
about
the
Paul
George is so
George.
you were just bringing up the
George had a
Clippers, so
great
I think
year
that's
this
the
year.
whole,
Saying,
the
like,
whole,
George is
the
so
whole.
underrated.
John
Crazy.
Rondo was criminally overlooked last year when it came to that team winning the championship.
No,
because
he got a lot of credit. That's
I
a
don't
big
think
loss.
he got
That's a
as
big
much
loss.
as people said that he did. Like,
Yeah, fair.
he makes a
Yeah.
difference on championship teams. What Harold doesn't make a difference on a championship team.
I don't know. I
Marcus-
think they at least stayed the same, dude.
Marcus
Schroeder,
Gasol,
Harrell, and who'd they get? Marcus Gasol, anyone else?
Marcus Gasol is as washed as the
He was-
sponges I used this morning to clean my
He's so trash.
He's no good anymore.
Mark-
but
I mean,
Yeah,
Marcus
Marcus
Gasol
Gasol-
needs to retire. He's so bad.
Yeah, his brother Paul Gasol signed with Barcelona to play on their team like a couple days back. I saw
Well,
that.
Mark should probably join it because
Yeah,
he's
probably.
not much better.
Mark's just ring chasing at this point.
He is.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense. I mean, play your whole career on the Grizzlies. I mean, you're probably gonna want a ring.
They
He
made
has
the
a ring.
conference finals. I mean,
He has a
that
ring
team
with
Tony
Toronto.
Allen,
He
Zito,
used to
Oh,
be
yeah.
really good. He's just so washed. Well, actually, he wanted.
Yeah, with
no,
Toronto, he won a
with
ring.
the
Yeah,
Raptors, so
Yeah.
he's not ring chasing.
yeah. I
He's
mean,
ring
look at Kevin
chasing.
Durant.
They're gonna get
He-
Boogie Cousins, I think, though.
He's
Really?
going
You think
out.
Boogie Cousins
I'm
going
I'm
to
not sure it's a
Look,
great.
that's
I'm not sure it's a great addition at this point.
I saw a report. They said that they want Whiteside instead of Boogie.
Oh,
Mm.
true.
That might be a good pickup.
Whiteside's got
He's
some
gonna get
problems,
cut.
though.
Whiteside.
That's
maybe
a big
traded.
punch in the face of DeMarcus
Traded,
Cousins.
I'd say.
But
Oh, but he was on the team last year, Kyle. He was on the Lakers
He
last
is
year.
washed, kind of, right now.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
he's not good.
I
I
still
don't think he's good now.
I still
Did
think
not
he
like-
might
he used to
win,
be
but
so
like
good
he's
'cause he
not to be a team that can like. He's not a player who can make that difference anymore in a game.
No,
Yeah.
he used to be able to pass the ball like a point guard and get to the line
Cousins
like
used to be the
5
best
times a
big man in
game.
the league.
That was on the
Once
Kings
upon a
teach. That
time,
was
he
a
scored a
long
40,
time ago.
20, and 10 triple double.
Yeah, that was
once
when he was on the
upon a
Kings.
time.
That was a long time ago.
Still, he was an
Well, I
animal.
mean, that was
a
like
while
4
ago.
years
That's my
ago, right?
point.
Or even on the
I don't-
Pelicans too.
Oh, he was a beast. No, that's
He was
he
like
got
that. He
that
was-
triple double on the Pelicans.
Yeah.
He was like that on the Pelicans too. Yeah, it's when
And
he
then
got
after
hurt.
that, his injuries
got
kind of
hurt.
just derailed his career.
I think he's
Yeah.
got like 4 leg season-ending injuries right now, and I mean, it's just
Yeah.
not gonna be able to play through that.
Guy was a force.
Yeah.
All right.
not-
Well, this was a fun episode. A lot of back and forth, especially on NBA terms. For the people at home, the giveaway that we started last week, the backpack giveaway, I'm extending it a week because why not? So for the people at home, including Mr. Ben and Ben, if you all interested in a new free backpack, free Dover Sherburne Cable Television backpack, it's pretty simple. All you got to do is email. You have to watch the last video because the instructions are in the last video. You have to just count the amount of times Kyle says the word tool bag. Then you have to email a suggestion for the next, like a suggestion topic for the next show to info@dsctv.com. And then you can win yourself a free, brand new Dover Sherburne limited edition backpack that I modeled very nicely in the last episode. Otherwise, that is a wrap for this week's episode of Unpopular Opinion. Thank you for Mr. Ben Teach and Mr. Ben Chittick for coming on today. We'll see you back here next week. Thank you for everybody. I'm Mickey Gatt signing off. everybody, and